Now, starting from subjective methods for work measurement, on the previous turn, we discussed about what were called as above methods for measurement using Collett Bishop method. We did a kind of a discussion on Collett and Bishop body discomfort map, and we did a slight discussion about Box's rating, also about visual analog scale for discomfort recording. So these were the three ratings which we were using for the subjective evaluation of discomfort or subjective evaluation of work stresses or work uh, difficulties in the work. So these were the cases where we were trying to utilize these standard techniques for evaluation of work. When we are moving further, we had discussed about, or we have just given you a hint about two basic methods for a static posture assessment for posture related fatigue or discomfort assessment. This is nothing but perceived discomfort score or related risk of injuries or discomfort. Okay, so to assess all these things on the perception based perception of the worker who is involved in the task, we were using these techniques which are overall called as psychophysical methods. There are two more techniques which we want to use now, are called as rapid upper limb assessment method, that is in short known as RULA, and the other is called as rapid entire body assessment. This is in short known as REBA. So we will discuss about the basic steps involved in these techniques, where we can know about the level of risk involved in the particular task and the point of risk, point of fatigue or point of discomfort over the human body. So these are the techniques. I will come to the techniques later on, but before that I want to share some of the pictures collected and some of the videos collected, which will give you an idea how important it is to assess the work related measurement in terms of psychophysical assessment. So I'm taking to a library where some of the videos and pictures are collected, which I want to share with all of you. Let's see this picture where you have a person is doing dentistry task and the hand posture is in very what we call odd situations. So here we have so in this case we have a posture stresses of wrist. You can see the angles which are made over here are very awkward angles, and that is why we call this is awkward posture of hand arm system. So this is creating stress on wrist, creating stress on neck. So we are having much stress points over here which needs to be assessed about the workers risk involved. So for that particular case we must know that at what angle the person is having extension in the neck, at what angle the wrist deviation is there, whether the wrist is flexed or wrist is extended or wrist is ulnar deviated or wrist is radially deviated. So whatever, or the forearm is supine position or the prone position. So these are when the maximum range of motion of a particular joint is approached, the person gets more stress in there. So this is one of the example of the picture. Then I take you to another picture. The person working on this over here, you see the person is doing a task of fitting the wires over the brackets, and how stressful it would be to having a twist in the body, twist in the trunk, legs stressed, and having a stress on the neck and the shoulder. So hand arm, so the upper arm is abducted. We see the posture analysis is very, very important so that you can redesign the support equipment or support facility. See the same thing over here. The person is working in a very odd situation to have a kind of posture. Now these are some of the pictures taken from Aligarh hardware industry where person is sitting. It is a floor sitting position. Nowadays only not only the chair or a stool arrangements are there. Sometimes workers prefer to sit in this position which you see over here, where legs are having a particular angle, body is stressed at the point what we call back, lower back. So if you interview these workers who are doing a repetitive task of a small assemblies, very small assemblies, lightweight task, but it is repetitive in nature. So in this case, the posture analysis could be done and we can know the immediate requirement of any kind of interventions. Then you have another posture. The person is doing a buffing task where you see the person's back is on a stress. You see the leg angle. You see the hand posture. And these are the stress points which are created over here. These are point of stress. So you can take a survey with the help of Bishop map or Borg's reading or visual analog scale, and also using what is called as RULA and REBA technique. So you can apply here RULA or REBA methods for the assessment. So these methods can also be used for assessing the risk involved, and accordingly the interventions can be made in the working design. This is if you see this posture, you see the wrist angle. You see the wrist angle. So the stress points comes over the metacarpal joint. This is called as your metacarpal phalangeal joint, which is your wrist joint, where number of bones are there to support the task. So this is created here. Now see, person is working on, this is a paced assembly line. These mortise locks parts are hanged over a paced assembly line, and this is a belt which is moving at a particular pace, and the person is monitoring the job, doing a punching operation. This is again drilling operation. You see a micro drilling operations here. Person doing assembly job in lock industry. This is a kind of cleaning or polishing. Collecting the items from a bucket. See the posture. In that case, a slight intervention is given over here, that earlier the system was like person had to bend his back in a stoop posture a lot. So the instead of bending the back of the person, we had provided the bin at a particular angle, and that angle of the bin is helping. This angle of the bin is helping not to reduce the back of the person. So this is a kind of intervention we have over here. So these were some of the pictures I shared with you, and these pictures will be used as the part of the assignment, in which you can pick up one or two pictures and you can apply RULA and REBA techniques to let me know what is the level of risk involved in that particular posture. For example, the exact value of the angle is not given in the picture, but you can assume that, and your personal assumption can help you to identify the level of risk due to the contribution of the awkward posture of the neck, or the contribution of the awkward posture of the shoulder, or of the awkward posture of the back or of the leg. So accordingly, you can pick up the contributions as per the specific procedure of RULA and REBA, and you can know the risk involvement. Now, I am showing all these pictures because I want you to have a kind of mindset developed. Being engineer, if you have a mindset developed towards the concern of ergonomic interventions, your design, your workplace management, your facility planning, your shop floor planning, your production control will have a better efficiency, better efficacy, better effectiveness, because you would have a concern. So this is more about creating the concern of the engineer towards the increment in the compatibility between human and machine. And this machine is not only machine and tools or equipments or whatever it is at the workplace. Now watch these, some of the videos in short. These are very small clips. Say bakery work, where the person is pulling through a rod. See the posture, he is doing the task. The other persons have a different kind of posture. We don't know what we can do, but we have certain options of understanding by which we can create more efficiency with the improvement in the workplace. You see, concrete work, there are a lot of tasks, n number of tasks where the scope of improvement is possible. And if we exploit those scope of improvements, our projects, our jobs, our working conditions can have your big help from our engineering community. Now see this, the person is, lot of person are doing the task which is very repetitive in nature, and the persons are doing this job in different ways. Someone is mixing the mortar, someone is picking up the parat or material in the pot, someone is doing another kind of things. So these are many activities which are involved in specifically what we call construction jobs. So in construction we have many tasks which require your attention. It is not that you will change everything, but you can make small interventions for changing the situation. For example, this is a bucket of water. What we can do, that we can reduce the number of bends a person is making over here. So if we can have a kind of a spring arrangement that with the load of the tank table lifts itself to a particular height, then the bending may be reduced. You can have a kind of suspension kind of a small system that there is a spring. If the load is less, the bucket will be lifted up. So that kind of many options you can try as per your wisdom or your participatory knowledge with the by taking the interviews of the worker, what you want, what you suggest. and accordingly you can engineer their workplace. Um, I share, see, this is very common in agriculture industry, grass cutting operations. Still people are involved in these kind of manual tasks, even though the lot of automatic and semi-automatic machines are available, but due to the uh, the poverty, or we can say that due to their economic conditions, everyone is not able to bear that particular machine. See, roadsides, you have watched lot of hammering operations like this for some particular kind of operations. Look here, I know it is not accepted by human rights, but although if you go to the tourist places, you can find these kind of activities. Even in Lucknow, in Bombay, in Masuri, in Shimla, you can find these kind of hand-pulled rickshaws, where you see the extension of the upper arm of the worker, of the puller, which gives lot of stress on shoulder. Many tourist places you can find these kind of activities where the person is involved in pulling the person sitting on the back.
Yes, sir.
Even if you see the Tirth Yatras, you can see the person sitting in the bucket and the person is holding that person for over the mountain or hills. So that is a kind of activity. What we can do, we don't know, but we can have some kind of semi support in that. For example, the bucket may have a kind of wheel so that the person can have a kind of small support of the load on the ground instead of the total support on the back. So there are many options. We can see this as a very special skill task in Ladakh, the weaving activities, where the lady is involved in weaving a kind of shawl or kind of dupatta or kind of a scarf, what they are weaving, and the activity they are involved in a kind of extreme involvement of the range of motions of the posture. Very common everywhere we find. Sometimes we buy rotis from these places. See the person's involvement and the related risk in there. If you see the person doing the task, the person who is making these rolls, these dove are very repetitive in nature. But when the person is exposed to not only posture but to heat as well, so if you see these kind of activities are very common and require your attention for the improvement. You can see roti making. You can see roti making over here. This is a different kind of posture involvement. That was a different kind of posture involvement. So still roti making have a variety of methods available which you can watch and you can explore and you can have a scope of improvement. Wood rotting task, I've already shown you like this. The person's back, this was a kind of experiment we did. So during the experiment, we tried to see what the worker is doing. Uh, so these were some of the videos before I was moving towards the RULA and the REBA. The RULA is nothing but the method which utilizes the assessment of hazard relevant to the work related to upper limb. So here involvement of the upper limb is very important. That is why in this method the more emphasis is given. So in this rapid upper limb assessment, we give emphasis to certain portions of the body and we give lesser emphasis to the lower limbs. Upper limbs we call hands, head, trunk, etc. Lower limb we call legs. So this case, when you see here in this method, basically we have a chart over here. This chart shows a kind of contribution of awkwardness of certain parts of the body towards the score. That is an indication of, this score is an indication of level of risk in a particular task. So this score indicates the level of risk involved in a particular task. Okay, so for that there are contributions from different parts of the body. First is upper arm, lower arm. Upper arm is nothing but our shoulder to the elbow. Lower arm is nothing but our forearm. Then we have wrist. Then twist of the wrist is nothing but the rotation of the forearm. So according to all these things, depending upon their situation with respect to the range of motion. Range of motion is nothing but the maximum rotation or maximum angular deviation possible in the posture or in that particular joint. So with respect to that maximum range of motion, if we are in a zone of risk or we are in a zone of comfort, for example, you are shaking hand, that is a kind of neutral posture of the wrist. But if it is twisted either in radial direction or ulnar direction or extension direction or flexion direction, it is adding some level of discomfort. So these are contributions which you pick up from a table, and likewise the same contribution from the condition of the neck, either it is extended or it is flexed. For example, if you have to watch it upward, then your neck is more stressed than you are reading or you are doing the task on the desk. So then trunk, whether the trunk is twisted or trunk is in a neutral position or trunk is flexed or trunk is extended, the same thing for the legs. So, but there is no microscopic analysis of the leg posture in this method, what is we are referring as RULA, upper limb. So the more emphasis was given in this part of the method. So then whatever the combined score we get, there are certain tables for picking up the score with respect to these postures and then combined score based on. So this is not the sum of all four scores as a score of posture A. So we have divided into two categories, score A and score B. Score A is taken from a combination of these which were developed through a particular method, then the loading of the muscle and the level of the force. So the scores are contributed and you get a score C, and accordingly you get a score D. With respect to a particular table which is table C, the score C and score D gives a combination that is called as Grant score, which represents our what we call level of risk in a particular task. So what are these? Let's see. So I'm going back now. This is the contribution of upper arm. This is the contribution of lower arm. This is the contribution of wrist, and this is the contribution of wrist twist. So in this case, what you see here, this is a portion which we call upper arm, this is a portion we call lower arm or forearm, this is our wrist. If you see the extension, if you see the hand is in 20 degrees forward or backward, forward is called as flexion and backward is called as extension, then you consider a score value of 1 only. But if while working, for example, you are seeing a hand pulled rickshaw, in that case the upper arm was extended backward, so it was not in the case of 1 but it was giving a score of 2 in case of rickshaw puller, hand rickshaw puller. And in this case Sometimes in punching operation or in operation, the hand is forward flexed. So that case, either the score may be 2, but when you watch the person doing the electric fitting task on the pole, his hand was quite abducted, or the hand was in an upper position. So in those cases, the score may be 3 or 4. So whatever score you get, 4 or 3 or 2, this will become your contribution of upper arm score, which will go to the point number 1 in this case. The same thing for lower arm. Lower arm is this arm which you have to consider as flexed or extended. So in this case, either it is in 60 to 100 degrees angle, then it is 1 score. But if it is more than 100 here and 0 to 60 in this region, so either part it will be 2. But as you are working on a sitting posture, the hand may be having this kind of adduction which is towards the body midline, or abduction. So if it is a cross arms or in a adduction position, then we can add 1 to it. So sometimes the score may be 2 plus 1, or score may be 1 plus 1. So it may be 2 or 3 scores there. Same thing for wrist. If the wrist is also having a pain, having an awkward posture, as you had watched the figures of the person doing punching operation, small fitting operations, so in dentistry work, as I have shown you the pictures, in those cases, these angles are very important, and they add the value of 1 or 2 or 3. The same thing mainly in mid range of the twist. So twist of the hand is nothing but the twist of the forearm. So if it is in a mid range or nearly to the end of the twist, either on this side or on this side, because both radial and ulnar bones cross each other and add more to the stress. So you can give the point accordingly. So whatever point you get over here, you can fill in here. Suppose 2, 1, 1, 1, for example. It will not become 5 here. It is not 5. This is not 5. We will have to see table A to collect this point. And what is table A? Table A is this. If suppose we had 2 for upper arm, 1 for lower arm, 1 for the wrist posture, and 1 for the wrist twist. So in this case, finally what we get is 2. So the relative score, the combined score we get is 2. So we will go back and we will put the value 2 over here. Now see what is there. So this part is completed. When we go for the part B, we have to see the condition of the neck, whether it is flexed forward or extended backward. If it is extended backward, we consider it to be the extremely stressed condition. That's why we give a score of 4. Otherwise, either you will be in 2 or 3 in normal circumstances. So for example, let's have 2. Now this is a trunk position, either flexed or extended or supported or not supported. If twisting is there, add 1. If bending is there, add 1. So this is a kind of bending on the side, not bending forward. So bending on the side is 1. So this case, we give the score, suppose 2 plus 1. And what you see here is leg is given very, very less emphasis. We assume application of ruler where legs are supposed to be in comfortable position. Otherwise, we will not go for ruler, we will go for REBA. So these are scores. For example, you have 1 here. So 2, 3, 1. Go further here. This is 2, 3, 1. So this will not be 6. It is not 6. We have to go to table B. What is table B? Table B says 2 neck, 3 trunk, 1 leg. So the main score you get is 4. So the 4 is the contribution of the lower part of the body, and in this you can fill 4. So when we have 4 here, we have see what are the muscles used. If muscles use is very high, see what is said about these 3 parts. So given a score of 1 if the posture is mainly static, held for a longer than 1 minute, repeated more than 4 times per minute. If it is repetitive and lesser frequency, we will not add any score. If it is repetitive but higher than 4 times per minute, we consider it as stress, we give a score of 1. If it is mainly static posture, then also we give a score of 1. So these are 2 conditions which you can add on for both the cases of either this or this. Suppose the person is sitting for longer hours, for example, we consider polishing job. So we can add 1, 1 both over here. Now then, contribution of the force. In kind of small assembly jobs, as I have shown you certain pictures, the load is not more than 2 to 10 kg, and it is no resistance or less than 2 kg load. So there will be no force. But if the conditions are different, then we have to go for what is called as a different kind of scores you can give for shock forces, for 10 kg more intermittent load, etc. So now this case, we are not adding any force over here, and the score comes as 3 over here and 5 over here. Accordingly, we have a table C. When we go to table C, what is there for score 4 and score 5? We see the cumulative score is not the summation 4 plus 5, but it is a grand score 5. So what is 5 over here? We give 5. This 5 is the level of risk involved in that particular task. So this is according to method called as RULA. And RULA is where legs are not considered much in awkward posture. Then only we are implementing this method. Okay. So this is all. But what should be the action taken according to the score? If a score is 1 or 2, that indicates that posture is acceptable. If a score is 3 or 4, indicates that further investigation is needed to check the requirement, but no immediate intervention. But a score is 5 or 6, it indicates that investigations are required and change the working conditions and redesign the posture, redesign workplace, what we call. And if a score is beyond 5 or 6, that indicates that immediate requirement of the intervention is, because otherwise we are going to hurt a lot, and discomfort may lead to injuries. So there will be a risk of injuries involved in that case. Now moving further, I am showing you the summarized sheet of RULA method, which I will also upload on the classroom page. This is just one page sheet. Whenever you are giving a task, or you can pick up those pictures, I will share the folder with you. You can pick up those pictures. Once you pick up those pictures, one of the pictures, you can perform the analysis in one sheet only. You can collect the score for upper arm over here, collect the score for lower arm over here, collect the score for wrist or wrist twist. Then you can have a relative score from table 1. You can get the score up here. If there is a muscle loading or something over there, then you can add it over here. Force, you can add it here. the summation is with U as score C. Then from score C, you will go to table C. Likewise, neck position is here, trunk position is here, leg position is here. Combined, all these three will give you a particular score as a contribution of the lower limbs. Adding the muscle loading, adding the force level, you get a particular score that will come to table C. Based on these two scores, you can have a final score that is called as grand score, indicating risk of injuries. So if the label is 1 or 2, no intervention is required. If 3 to 4, rethink or readjustments are required. If 5 to 6, then change in the design is required. If 7 or more, then immediate interventions are required, either for changing the workstation or sometimes requiring a physiotherapy. So physiotherapy may also be required in that condition. Now, moving beyond to what is called as REBA method. In REBA, we are nothing but adding more concern about your leg posture, because some of the tasks persons are doing in standing position or in the position where legs are also taking the support. For example, the person is hanging on the pole, so he is also taking the support of the leg to stay in a static position so that he can work on the repair on the electric wires. So in those cases, the assessment of the leg is also an important factor. So similar to RULA method, the REBA is not much different. However, only the scoring procedure gets different. And this scoring procedure is dividing the body parts into two categories, and the first one becomes neck, trunk and leg. Instead of upper arm, lower arm and wrist, it becomes neck, trunk and leg as a first part of the scoring procedure, and the second part is arm and wrist. So here we are analyzing the position of the neck. First of all, if neck is in extension position, we are giving 2 as a score. If neck is in flexion position, 2, but beyond 20 degrees. So if it is between 0 to 20 degree extension of the neck forward, then we are having only 1 score. So sometimes it is this, but you are giving more consideration to neck condition, so you are putting the additional score if the neck is twisted or bended sideways, which was not the part in RULA method. If you look at the RULA method, these were not the part in analysis. So here you are adding the score either 2 plus 1 or 2 plus 2, depending upon the neck is bended sideways or twisted. Same thing over here for trunk. So trunk is twisted or bended, you are adding the score over here. So it may be 2 plus 1 over here, for example. Now for leg positions, see here, straight legs, 1 score, legs bended, 2, bended more than 60 degrees, it gives 2, addition of 2. So looking at this, you can have a score, suppose 2 over here. So this is 3, 3, 2. So we can go to table A where neck is 3, trunk is 3 and leg is 2. Sorry, leg is 2. So in this, what we get the final score as 6. So 6 is the score of posture part A. And then you can add either there is a loading of the force more over here or not. Here they are not considering a kind of muscle interventions, but they are simply defining the level of the loads. Here it is given in pounds, but you can also find the tables with ISI standard. So that way we can either add 1 or 2, or we can add 0 over here. So it may be 6 plus 0. You are getting a score of 6. That will go to over here as score A. So it is 6 over here. Same thing we will do for upper arm. This is an abduction. This is called abduction. This is called extension. It is backward. This is, or sometimes it is called as flexion. So flexion or extension of the upper arm, depending upon the angles, either you are working overhead, will add 4. If you are working in extension position, will add 2. So you can have a score of, either you are working in normal conditions, so maybe 2. Then if upper arm is abducted, abducted means it is on this way. If it is away from the body. So if the upper arm is also away from the body with a particular angle in this plane, then also we can add 1 or 2 depending upon these particular conditions given over here. Then for forearm, or this is basically for elbow. So the angular deviation of the elbow may give a score of 1. For wrist, suppose we are getting 1. So it may be 2, 1, 1. So 2, 1, 1, we will come back to table B. So it is 2, 1, 1. We are getting a final score of 1 over here. So adding a fair kind of conditions, whether the fitting handle or mind range or grip is okay, or grip is poor, or grip is fair. So some of the tasks have good grip in bagonas, pots, buckets, pallets. Some pallets have very bad grip, some pallets have very good grip, some have fair grip. So depending upon the situation, you can add the score. So it may be, suppose 1 plus 1, 2. So we have a B score as 2. So B score will go 2 over here, and we can see the final score in the final table. This is C. This is score C, which is 6. Now what they say, they have added one more step as activity store. One or more body parts are held longer than 1 minute. One or more body parts are repeated a small range actions more than 4 times per minute. Actions cause rapid, large changes in postures, or unstable base, where the person is standing is unstable. So depending upon that, we can add a scores. For example, 1, it becomes 7. Now 7 is your grand score for indicating the risk of injuries. But the basic point is you have to select which method has to be applied, either RULA or REBA, depending upon the task, depending upon looking the posture, looking the video, looking the pictures. So some of the pictures I will share, and these 2 sheets I will share. If the score is 1, negligible, 2 is maybe needed, then 4 to 5 need some changes soon, and immediate risk involved. So these are scoring criteria on which you can understand the level of risk involved. It is not that it is a simple formula which is made available to you, but it is involving lot of research depending upon the perception of the workers, conditions, injury reports, and then their assessment of the posture. Based on those correlations, statistical correlations, these techniques are developed as a handy techniques for implementing in the industry. That is what I want to share today. And I think time is running now. So this was all about two methods, RULA and REBA. And I will upload assignments for, I will upload these two sheets for you to work on, and some of the pictures which you can, out of which you can select one picture for RULA and the other picture for REBA, and you can do a posture analysis and you can find out the level of risk involved depending upon the grant score which you may calculate. This is all from my side for today. If you have